Welcome.
Thank you, Raf. I'm Arabella, I'm an addict.
Hi, Arabella.
Thank you everyone for being here. Welcome to anyone new. So my story with addiction, I guess, started even before drugs came into the picture. So when I was about 11, 12, when I was a child, I always kind of felt different, didn't really feel like I fit in. My mum was quite intense to live with, and she could get quite angry for really small things, and she would make me feel really unsure of myself. My dad was not really present. When I was about 13, I felt like I had this kind of pain inside me, and I started self-harming, which I realized after was also an addiction and an escape from how I was feeling and me trying to numb myself, and instead of dealing with what was happening that I didn't know how to deal with at the time. Then later on, when I was about 13, I started smoking weed and hash, and that numbed me even more and helped me kind of turn my brain off a lot, which progressed into different drugs and harder drugs. And I always had this thing where I didn't want to deal with stuff, so I would escape into myself and into using so that I didn't have to deal with anything. When I got older, I started moving around a lot because I thought maybe if I move to a different city, then that'll fix it and it's gonna be fine. So I moved further away from my family, from my friends and people that knew me and loved me. And although I made friends in different cities, I also didn't have a support system of people that cared enough or understood me enough to help me. So it just made the behavior worse because I kept indulging myself into things that were bad for me. When it got to a point that it was no longer sustainable, because I kind of realized that I had to help myself in a way because nobody was going to come and take me out of this. I stopped using, and I was using a lot of like Xanax and stuff at the time, so I just stopped out of the blue. I wasn't aware that it was really dangerous to do that. So I started going into withdrawal. I got really, really sick, and I had to go to hospital to basically like detox. And then I was sent to rehab. But I was only there for about 5 weeks, and I kind of saw it as, I took it too far. I have to, it's kind of like a tolerance break, right? Like I didn't think I was going to quit. They were telling me you're going to have to quit everything. You're going to have to quit drinking. You're going to have to go to meetings. But at the time I was in Italy, where I'm from, and in Italy they don't have good recovery like they do here with good meetings and good fellowship. So I didn't even consider it, to be honest. I just wanted to get out of there, so I kind of said what I needed to say to get out of the rehab center. And I went home, and a month later I was really off my head and fell out of a moving car and broke my jaw. And basically I was back to square one, but still didn't want to admit to myself that the problem was the drugs. For me, it was always other people, and I was blaming whatever happened with my family in my childhood, whatever, when people did me wrong, it was their fault. I never wanted to even consider that drugs were actually a big problem, and they were causing all these issues, and all these things were becoming worse because of my drug use, because then I couldn't control my emotions and I couldn't control my reactions to things. So I kept going like that for a while. I had some horrible episodes of drug-induced psychosis where I did crazy, horrible things, ruined people's weddings, all sorts of really, like now looking back, shameful things. But at the time, I still didn't really want to confront what the actual issue was. Eventually, it got to COVID. And when it was COVID, in the beginning, I thought, this is great because I can just be home and do what I want to do, which was taking drugs. But it did caused like this kind of prison in my mind where I was just always in my house doing drugs. Some days I would just leave the house to go to the ATM. I wouldn't see anyone, I wouldn't speak to anyone except my dealer. And it was getting progressively worse. And with it, my depression, which I was always prone to, was also getting worse. My friend came to visit after lockdown ended. She's from the States, and she had 5 years clean at the time, and she said, come with me to a meeting. And I knew what NA was, but I'd never been to a meeting, so I was open to go with her. I wasn't thinking of quitting at all. I just kind of wanted to see what it was all about. She was only here for a couple of weeks. She went back home, and then I decided, I don't know why, I guess I had nothing else to do, because I'd either argued with a lot of people or just isolated myself, but I thought I'm just going to keep going to the meetings and see what happens. And eventually I decided, okay, I'm going to try to do what I hear in the meetings, because the stories I heard there inspired me to actually try to get clean. So in the beginning I said, I'll give it a shot for 1 year, I'll stay clean, and then I can go back to doing what I was doing if it didn't work. So I started getting clean, but I was still drinking alcohol. And when I asked this woman if she wanted to be my sponsor, she said, well, you have to stop drinking because that's part of NA, which I was actually not aware of. I didn't really understand that we have to abstain from everything. But I said, okay, I'll try for this 1 year and I'll just see what they're all about. And we started doing the steps. The beginning was obviously really difficult for me. Like, I would socialize, but when I would socialize, it was just with people that were using or drinking. So if I had to stop everything, I kind of told myself I can't socialize with those people anymore, because it was the beginning. I'm not strong enough to trust myself around substances and alcohol. So I really kind of had to cut down the people in my life and who I surrounded myself with. Eventually I realized that the people that I had in my life that I wasn't using with were actually good people, and the people that I wanted around me, and the people that I was using with were just there for a good time, and I no longer aligned with them. So I didn't miss them as much as I thought I would miss them. And when I did end up socializing with them after about 6 months of being clean, when I started going to parties again, going to raves, I realized that I like to dance, but then if I have to chat to people that are off their heads, it's kind of, they're not really saying anything. They're all like, nah, so it helped me like live my life in a healthier way overall by even surrounding myself with healthy people, having actual conversations that I can remember the day after that make sense, waking up the next day and saying, oh, like it's 9 a.m. on Sunday, I'm awake, everyone is sleeping, I'll go to the gym. I never thought I would do that, but like I go to the gym and I feel great after. And then when I started doing the steps, I realized I actually have to confront all those things that I did while I was using, all those people I wronged, including myself, including all the opportunities I wasted on myself. I dropped out of uni loads of times, wasted loads of opportunities, got fired from jobs. I kind of had to realize that I had to make amends with me, and kind of take responsibility for everything that happened to me after my childhood that I was blaming on other people. And it was hard because I'm one of those people that has a passion that's like their drive in life. It's like, oh, I want to do this with my life. So it was really hard for me to focus on myself and find little daily things that made life worth living for me, whether it's taking care of myself or cooking something or seeing a friend or trying new hobbies. That took some time, but it's been nice to rediscover things and learn that even as an adult you can start new hobbies and try new things. and you don't immediately have to be good at them, and you can just do it, because I used to think that if I'm not good at something, I don't want to do it. And there was nothing that I was immediately good at when I was using. So and nobody's good at stuff when they just start. So it's okay to start over. It's okay to go back to school when you're older. It's okay to apply for entry-level jobs when you're at any age. And that was a very important thing for me, to just kind of get over those fears of applying for jobs, trying new sports, trying new activities, meeting new people outside of the help that you get from drugs and alcohol, and just meeting them as a clean person, and seeing who you actually like and not who is just like you're having fun with in the moment. Going back to like the stuff I did before and facing it, even if it's just with myself, and admitting to myself that I was wrong about situations and I was wrong about the way I did things, was a big moment, because I had to kind of like not tell myself off, but I kind of had to admit to myself that all these defects of character that I had led me down these paths. And I had to be aware of them, because I can't let that happen again, because now that I know what I was doing wrong, I have to stay focused and stay in the meetings, come to the meetings, do service. For me, the first bit of service I did was a greeter, which really helped me get to the meetings on time and make sure that I'm there, because I felt a sense of responsibility towards the group. Then that progressed. Now I do COSEC with RAF, which has been great for me, because I can really see how the meetings work, and all the stuff that happens behind the scenes to make meetings happen, and all the people that make that happen, because if everyone just decides to not show up one day, then it doesn't work, and there's other addicts and people that need it. And we all need this. And although I thought in my first year, I'm just going to try it out for a year, now it's been 2 years. And it's been 2 years, and I realize now that like all the old timers I used to think, oh, I'm not going to need that when I'm like 35 years clean. Why do they still come to meetings? And now I realize how important it is. Even if you have 20 years clean and you have no intention of using, it's still important to go and to show up and to be a part of meetings and participate and help newcomers and have this support group, because people that are not in NA, that don't have addiction problems, they can listen and they can, help you out, but they don't understand. And I think that that's why NA works so well, because there's no it's not like a medical thing with doctors. It's like, this is addicts helping other addicts. And I think that that's really powerful. I think that that's the only way for us to move forward, and stay clean, because it's people that have been there, have done what you've done or worse, and understand every part of it. And this has been working for many years. And I mean, not to say anything bad about rehab centers, but I feel like a lot of people end in this cycle of getting out and then going back, getting out, going back, and then ending up dead. So it's important that if you go to rehab, then you have to stick to a program like NA. Thank you. Because it helps to stay clean, and because you will have that support group that will help you. Another thing for me that helped me stay clean was to no longer look for partners that use, because I can't be with a person that uses. I can't, it just doesn't work. I think that also emotionally, if somebody's using, they're just on a completely different wave than somebody that's clean. So you can't communicate, you can't have a healthy relationship if there's toxic things happening in your environment. This can, obviously maybe people can do it. I personally just can't see myself having a loving relationship when there's substances around. I think that they kind of string you out and make you either aggressive or just emotional all the time. It's been strange to have 2 years where I don't cry every day, where I don't want to kill myself, where I'm not angry all the time, where I don't self-harm, where also I don't want to do, I used to have I used to get a lot of tattoos all the time, which was, for me, it was a form of self-harm. It was a way to just replace that with the same pain, but in an aesthetic way. And since I got clean, I found that I don't enjoy getting tattoos at all. I tried to get like a retouch on one and I hated it the whole time. So it was interesting to see how these things that obviously I never thought applied to my journey with NA, because it's not a substance, but it was still an addiction for me, and it was still that kind of escape from stuff. And now that I'm clean and I'm serene, like literally in my life, I don't crave that anymore. I don't need that. And yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. It wouldn't have been possible without NA and the rooms. So keep coming back if you're new.
Great.